Hi, I'm Dan Silvestri, and I'm a coach and facilitator of the Soul Inspired Business Support Club. And this is a short video about the Business Support Club. And as you can see, I'm here with Rashid Ognalaru, who has sponsored this club and is also a coach, speaker, and author of Soul Trader, Putting Your Heart into Your Business. And he's here also to talk with me about the Business Support Club. So, hi, welcome, Rashid.
Thanks so
Great to
much,
see you here.
Dan. Oh, Dan, it's such a pleasure to be here. And first of all, thank you for facilitating the Business Support Club, because I think one of the things that's really great about you running that is that you know what it's like having run business. And you're not just a coach and a facilitator, you have run many businesses before, some that have worked really well, some where there have been challenges. And you've also supported me on my Soul Trader events, so some people may well be familiar with you already. I think that let's start with why it's so important. As you know, business can be tough, it can be lonely, it can be challenging, it can be isolating. There's stuff about business to learn. One needs to go out there and network and gain those kind of connections and so on. And there'll be all sorts of challenges, and one's going to need the right mindset along the way. So the idea about the Business Support Club is to help people learn about business, to gain that sense of group support and accountability, and to get benefits that you might get with any club, being able to share any benefits of things that you're doing. I've added some things like my Soul Trader Coach Yourself course, and there's the discounted coaching from yourself for people who might want that as well. But Dan, I wonder if you might be able to just briefly also just tell anyone who doesn't know about it, may not read through the literature, a little bit about how the club actually works, because it's a year-long program. Right? Tell us just a little bit about the year-long program and about the sessions.
Yeah, it's a year-long program, and thankfully, we've had a whole full year now with our first cohort, and each session is quite unique in what it is that we're talking about. However, there is a bit of a structure that initially, when we meet once a month, we come together for an hour and a half, and then there's a 30 minutes extra kind of chill out at the end, if you like, that we can just really kind of relax and get to know each other more. But within each of these meetings, we have a check-in. We'll initially check in with each other. We're just checking with how things are, what's going on, and just really come together so we're there and we're very present within each meeting. And then we'll start unpacking a business topic. It might be something that they're bringing to the table and that they're wanting to learn a little bit more about, or it might be something, for example, that we bring. And as it's because it's got this kind of bringing your book to life and your whole work to life. It's got that element that we might bring maybe a chapter in with one of those business topics. Maybe it's about clarity or customers, mindset, money, energy, whatever it might be. We might bring that to the table if we find that is apt for the group. And then we unpack that content, and there's a bit of learning and development that goes on there in that space, because then we'll then bring it into a bit of a coaching space where the group can start having a bit of group coaching together. So that's the next element or part of the meeting, that we then get to work on something. Perhaps it's something that is practical and going on for each member, for them in their business at that time, or maybe it's about the content. They want to, sit and reflect on some of that content and have themselves work within that for that meeting. And then at the end, we'll just have a coming together of a bit of a sharing and a bit of what people have and what they need, or where they're at, or just willing to just put anything else on the table that might be really useful for them at that time of the month, that time of their kind of yearly journey. So yeah, it's a really wonderful meeting that happens once a month. There'll be more that we can share about it in a moment, but yeah, that's kind of how it works in a nutshell.
I like that, Dan, and I like the fact that because it's online, it means that people can be from anywhere or wherever they are right now in their business, which is important, because often people are very, very busy. And I know that, for example, of the first cohort, there are people internationally, some in the UK, some overseas and so on. And it's a very small group, between four and usually about eight or so people. They're possibly up to 12 each cohort. I just wanted to talk a little bit before we close down about some of the benefits. I'll just share some of the things that jump out to me, and then there might be other things that you might be wanting to share as well. I guess one of the first things is this thing about that camaraderie and that support and the accountability that we've talked about before. That those are the benefits, helping people to begin to develop that business know-how and sharing and opening up about these topics that can often be really difficult, be it money or customers or gaining clients, whatever it is, the value stuff around business. And so on. We've talked about some of the benefits, like they get the Soul Trader video as well to help them in between. And I know also one of the other things that you put in place is that they will have their own WhatsApp group that they can also share between sessions. So it's not just about the sessions itself, it's about what they gain in between and that they can begin to work on and so on. But Dan, is there anything else that you would add that you've seen as some of the wins and their takeaways from that people have gained from the Business Support Club?
Yeah, it's a really, really great question because actually we've reflected on this ourselves and talked about this is that everyone is going to get something very different from the club. And that's quite unique because this club is really based around them, their needs, where they're at. It's kind of, although it's a group program, it's very personal to them as well. You know, there's elements that they're going to get benefits for what it is where they're at and what they're bringing and how it is that they're wanting to move in this next year for themselves. So that in itself is quite a unique benefit that they're going to get. It's very personal, even though it's in a group program. But the bit that brings everyone together is that they are all heart-centered. You know, they are all coming from a place where we're kind of speaking a similar language already. So the benefit there is that there is that camaraderie, there's that sense of community, which really counters a lot of the loneliness that many people in business find when they're working on something for themselves and with themselves. And they might have a peer or a colleague or someone that they can chat with, but having a group, you know, container in this way that's across a period of a year, they're creating sort of deeper bonds with each other and they're learning together, they're growing together, they're sharing things about where they're at in their lives together. So there is this kind of um, way in which we're able to take the experience that someone else might have in business, and that's what's happened this year. Some people have been in business for a few months, some maybe been in business for a bit longer, a year or two, and they have different experiences, but they're so valid, and we can all learn from each other with how it is that we're approaching our business and what we're putting into place and how we're putting it into place. And so there's a real benefit of just learning in that group around other people's experience as well as our own. Because it's over a year, we're able to put some of the practical things in place. So at the beginning of the year in January, for example, we'll set some goals for the year and we can start to actually see how that works in lifetime because across a year, how does it work when I put my goals into place and I've explored what they really are for this year ahead? And so there's a real lifetime practical learning of the experience of what it's like to be in business and what it really feels like to run a business. That's such a deep win from this type of group in the way that we've constructed this and put this together. So all that group learning, loneliness that kind of gets counteracted, the sense of community, camaraderie. Really, it's we're kind of bringing things that's on an emotional and practical level, not just in business but in our lives, and that in itself is such a huge benefit because it means that nothing's off the table. We don't just have to talk about business. We don't just have to talk about everything else. We can talk about everything and anything, but the whole essence is that it is about progressing one's business because, as we know, like business gets integrated into our lives in different ways depending on what business we're running, who we are, and all the rest of it. So it's got a lot of aliveness to it, a lot of great energy, and it really helps someone to, what I've noticed, to help someone to really bring the reality of where they're at in their lives and their business. So it's things are more tangible. You know, there's practical wins that have happened, such as people have won new business through this last year, gaining more clients. Others have been able to understand who their clients actually are. You know, then they're able to go out and actually do the work of finding their clients because they now really know who their client base really is, and how to reach them. Others have just had such great support, just really being able to see themselves and having a space for themselves because it can be so busy and noisy. And you were going out in the world and we're grafting, working hard, but it's just a nice place to pause and to breathe and actually just take a bit of time for oneself in their business and just think, no, actually, I want to learn a little bit more of here and I can take a bit of this or I can input a bit of that over there and get some feedback as well from each other about our approaches and the ways that we're working. So the benefits are huge. And I've seen so many this year how that's all worked and come together. But it's also up to the individual and what they're wanting from the group as well as the benefits they're going to get.
I like that, Dan. Thanks so much. So I get a sense just before we close here that those benefits are very broad, like what may have led people to the club in the first place. For some people, it's about the group support. For some people, it's about the mindset that's developed, the clarity, the plans. For some people, it's about the gaining the clients, putting new things into place, understanding more business savvy, having that sounding board, etc., etc. Well, Dan, I just want to say a big, big thank you for running the club. And for people who are interested in the club, I know they can get in touch with you. The details will be on your website or below here that people can get in touch to find out more. And then you can have a chat with them if they're wanting to be able to apply. I just want to say a very, very big thank you to running the club and all the best to all of the people in the current cohort about to begin the next cohort and to future cohorts and as well. Just say a very, very big thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and of course, you know, as we both are, we're very passionate about this, and this is a very short video that's given a very small insight and a rundown to all of this. So I really welcome conversations. I really welcome to get in touch with myself, yourself, and to really start having these conversations about what this club might be for them and what they're perhaps anyone who's watching this might need this year in terms of having a group that's going to be very unique and supportive for them and their business. So yeah, I'd love to have more conversations where we can talk about this in a lot more depth if we jump on a call together. So hopefully anyone watching, please do come forward and we'll chat. But thank you, Rash. Thank you for sponsoring this. Thank you for your work as well that's gone into all of this. And yeah, I look forward to this new year and seeing who we get on board and where they go.
That's it. Really, really well said. Thank you so much, Dan. Take good care. All the best, everybody.
See you.